What's up, guys? Jason of New Age Revolution down here in the cave. It's so weird. I'm kind of tucked into a corner. Now, you can't tell, but there's a shelf right here. There's a shelf right there directly behind the camera. I'm kind of in this little hole now that the room is remodeled. Remodeled for the better. More and more of this room is growing on me. I got a little schmutz on the camera there. Is that my... hang on a second. I'm going to wipe the camera with my finger while I'm recording. How about that? Yeah, because my kids had their hands on my camera yesterday, and apparently they thought it was a good idea to touch the lens. Okay, so we just cleaned it off. Anywho, let's do a wrestling with the past. Yeah, let's get back into it. I just said anywho. I hate that phrase, anywho. Ugh, with a passion. I just said it because a text came in while I was talking and I got distracted because I'm like, oh, what? Anyway, wrestling with the past. I'll get with it here. I just did a show, the Mount Rushmore show. Not my Mount Rushmore show, the Mount Rushmore show on YouTube, and hopefully that'll air in the next couple of days. We had a great time. We spent a lot of time together talking about the Mount Rushmore of cartoons. Yeah, the Mount Rushmore of cartoons. And what a great bunch of guys. And once it airs, once their video is up, I'm going to pull a little clip from it, talk about them a little bit, show the clip, and then go invite you to watch the show that I was on from their channel. They are looking to build their subscribers and their ability to monetize. So we're definitely going to help them get going. But right now we'll do a wrestling with the past. We have jumped into 1985. It's fun. It's a fun feeling because a lot of good stuff is coming. WrestleMania is only in March, so it's only 2 months away. Well, January, February, March, whatever. It's in March, 85. So they've got to build. They already did the haircut with Andre, so that solidifies, Andre and Stud. But we have nothing to do with Mr. T yet. It's going to be great to watch the build to WrestleMania. And in these first two shows, we don't have much of a build to WrestleMania. We've got two standard shows here to talk about. One, I am just looking forward to it ending. And I know that is sad because why would I ever say something like that? But Maple Leaf Wrestling is not good. It's not good. There's really no angles run. The Piper's Pit is gone, and now it's replaced with Blackjack's Barbecue, which is awful. The commentators are dreadful. Jack Reynolds and Angelo Mosca are horrible. Billy Red Lyons as the events interviewer. You know how you interview guys, with the WWF backdrop. He's awful. It's bad, and the show only lasted till '86. Anyways, I don't think I have any footage from '86, and I'm hoping that my '85 footage starts to fizzle out a little bit because it's hard to sit through. But anyway, let's get into it. Maple Leaf Wrestling, January 5th, 1985. Bobby Bass Bobby Bass takes on Tito Santana. Of course, does not defeat Tito Santana. Angelo Mosca is awful as a commentator. And they do a gimmick with him and Jack Reynolds do it. And I've seen it for, months now, and I've never said anything about it because I can't do it justice of how bad it is. Like I can't show you how bad it is because I can't do it the way it's done to show you how bad it is. But in the beginning of the show, Jack Reynolds and Angelo Mosca are standing at ringside, and they've worked the shtick where Jack Reynolds runs down who's going to be there today, and Angelo Mosca does like one or two words to describe the person that Jack Reynolds is talking about. So, for example, they're standing next to each other, and Jack Reynolds is like, "We've got a great week here on the World Wrestling Federation," because he always calls it the World Wrestling Federation. We've got a great episode here on the World Wrestling Federation. We've got Tito Santana, and then, without missing a beat, Angelo Mosca goes, "Awesome," and then Jack Reynolds goes, "Big John Studd, really big." Hulk Hogan is here. Ooh. The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov are here. The fans hate him. And then they go back and forth like that. And it's terrible because Angelo Mosca is a buffoon. Anyway, okay. So Angelo Mosca says Bobby Bass versus Tito Santana should be a great match because both men are even. Tito proceeds to win in 4 minutes with the figure 4. So a great match because they're even. Tito wins in 4 minutes with the figure 4, which the announcers sell very much as Tito using Greg Valentine's figure 4 as a finisher for the first time. I don't know if it's the first time. I think he used it a little bit after the leg surgery to kind of rub it in Greg Valentine's face, but now Tito is using the figure 4 more often, and Angelo Mosca just loves it. Tito Santana is one of those guys that really invokes memories, really generates the memories of 80s childhood wrestling for me. I don't know why. Tito Santana and Sheik and Volkov, which I'll talk about later, really just transport back in time. I could watch lots and lots of Tito Santana matches. I don't like him personally because of a situation that happened. I got to work with Tito Santana once, and it was a disaster. He was a jerk, and I know that he's probably a super nice guy. But when you're I'll tell the story some other time. But anyway, yeah. So that match is over. And now Bruce Springsteen's "Dancing in the Dark" is the bumper music in between commercial breaks, which I like because they always have just the coolest, 80s music as bumpers. "Dancing in the Dark" is on this episode. Jim Powers takes on the Spoiler with Johnny V. Now this is Johnny V's debut as the Spoiler's manager, and they do mention throughout the match that Captain Lou Albano sold the contract of the Spoiler to Johnny V. And I love that concept because you got Lou Albano kind of deciding, do I want to be a bad guy anymore? Now I'm talking about, if kayfabe was reality. Boy, I've been a bad guy for so long. I'm thinking about being a good guy. I'm thinking about befriending Hulk Hogan and Cyndi Lauper, and we're doing this MS thing. And boy, I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I think I've seen the light, right? So then he says, well, let me look at I've got Greg Valentine, and I've got the Spoiler. Let me sell these guys contracts and then get them off my caseload here, and then I can really decide if I want to be a good guy or not. So Captain Lou sells the contract of the Spoiler to Johnny V. I don't know what's going on with Valentine because I think that Valentine was with Albano. Yeah, he was, absolutely. As far as early as 2 weeks ago, he was with Valentine. So I don't know who's managing Valentine at this point. Jimmy Hart is not there yet. So anyway, the Spoiler wins with the claw hold. That made me think about the Red X, the old claw hold Red X. Remember that? That was early 80s. That was 81 when Blackjack Mulligan and maybe the Spoiler would put the claw hold on a guy. And then for whatever reason, they'd put a big X on the screen. I don't know why they would do that. The claw hold was not, what were we censoring with the claw? If my memory is correct, and I don't know, this could have been just dream or what, I think I remember Mulligan's claw hold maybe causing blood at some point with enhancement workers, maybe. And I don't know if that was just the blood packet in the glove or whatever. But did that ever happen? Did anybody bleed from a claw hold and then they just totally made a big deal about it and put the red X up and censored it? I don't know. I don't remember. Terry Gibbs takes on the World Wrestling Federation champion Hulk Hogan. Yeah, and that was Angelo Mosca's reaction when Jack Reynolds said Hogan was on the show. He went, "Ooh!" We get a rare TV Hogan match, and Brutus Beefcake comes out and walks around the ring as he did, like when he debuted. He would come out and strut, but now he's coming out obviously to generate a little feud with the Hulkster, and I think they did have a couple of house show matches. Nothing big. I don't think it was ever like an MSG main event, but I know Hogan and Beefcake had a little bit of a program together, so they're establishing that now. I did notice that Terry Gibbs called a spot in the ring, which was fun to watch. It was during the Hulk Up, and Gibbs is punching them, and they're bouncing. Hogan's no selling them, and then before he throws one, Gibbs says, "Block it," and Hogan blocks it and begins his comeback. So Terry Gibbs called the comeback, which I thought was cool, really cool, actually. Frank Marconi versus Brutus Beefcake. The flying knee wins it there. We've got an awful Blackjack's Barbecue with Greg Valentine. It's just so bad. Blackjack's Barbecue's bad. Blackjack Mulligan has no reason being on the microphone that long and hosting a segment, and it's just awful. Dr. D. David Schultz is still there, and I don't know what the taping schedule was here. Are all these Maple Leaf Wrestlings taped prior to the incident with John Stossel at MSG just a couple of days ago? Were they taped on, after it? Because Schultz is still there. He defeats Mohammed Saad with the famous Dr. D elbow. Yeah, I don't know. Did they, I was always under the impression that he went home that night, that was it. He was done. But it looks like he worked a little while longer. Very little while longer. Sergeant Slaughter is already gone, by the way. He's gone. With no mention of one of their biggest names ever, Sergeant Slaughter. He's gone. And Dr. D has got to be gone soon. We've got another Morocco and Fuji in Hawaii. He's challenging Hogan. But Morocco's already back because he wrestles at the January 5th Boston Garden show that they advertise all over Championship Wrestling. I have the Boston Market Championship Wrestling, and all of their interviews are promos for the Boston Gardens card that night, and Don Morocco is on that card. So we'll get to that in a minute. Carl Fury and Renee Goulet take on the U.S. Express. The U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo come out with the Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA theme in Canada. And Rotundo wins it with an airplane spin. And that's that. That's that for Maple Leaf Wrestling. Just, again, not an angle establishing show at all. Although Greg Valentine won the Intercontinental title from Tito Santana on a Maple Leaf Wrestling episode. So I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like the commentators. I like the black ring ropes. I like the Canadian crowd. I like the arena. The matches are the matches are very, very boring, and the announcers are dreadful. All right, now we have Championship Wrestling from same day, January 5th, 1985. This probably aired, around noon. I remember 11 or noon Championship Wrestling airing. I think that Maple Leaf Wrestling, if it aired in New York, was on at night. I don't think it aired in New York. I think All Star Wrestling aired in New York at night on a Saturday night, 11 o'clock, midnight. I don't think Maple Leaf Wrestling aired in upstate New York. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so. So anyway, Championship Wrestling, January 5th. Now we have the very first intro to Championship Wrestling. It's still Hogan coming down the MSG, the Sheik match with Michael Jackson Thriller playing in the background. one of my all-time favorite, probably my all-time favorite opening. But prior to that, we've got the very first ever, the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment. The WWF logo, the space background, the lightning, or the electricity kind of lights up the WWF. But as a kid, I had no idea that I was hearing what wrestling was going to be called later on in life. The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment. So as early as 1985, January 5th, 1985, we're hearing sports entertainment come out of the WWF. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. We do not get the recognized symbol of excellence in professional wrestling. We get sports entertainment. That is interesting stuff in 1985. All right. We've got the U.S. Express starting things off with Rusty Brooks and Charlie Fulton. I love Rusty Brooks. He's the guy that Vince McMahon called an Easter egg, or said he looks like an Easter egg. He's 300 very round pounds, and he sells like an animal, and he's so great. Now, in this match, well, first of all, Barry Windham does slam Rusty Brooks, which is visually interesting to see. But I just felt the match was a little bit off because Brooks is a very established enhancement worker, whatever you want to call it. Very knowledgeable. He's been around a long time. Charlie Fulton's been around a long time. Rusty Brooks is trying to get a little offense in on Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, and they're not having it. Like they're no selling his attempts because you want to see a little bit of that bad guy, good guy formula, right? Of course, Rusty Brooks is supposed to get in a little offense. Of course. I love seeing job guys get some offense on the superstars. And then especially in a good guy case, we get a hot tag afterwards, right? It pops the crowd. It's fun. It doesn't diminish Windham and Rotundo. Obviously, they're going to win. But, Rusty Brooks is trying, and they're rejecting it. It's frustrating. And I think at one point Rusty Brooks tried saying something to Rotundo, but Rotundo just wasn't getting it. Barry Windham comes in, wins with the Bulldog. We've got a WWF on the road segment, which is all about the Boston Garden card. They do not review coming this month. They just do, tonight at the WWF Boston Gardens, we've got Hulk Hogan versus blah, blah, blah. It's Tito Santana, Greg Valentine rematch. Don Morocco's on the card. But it's all done with the NWA music. It's the NWA on the road music. And I forget who the announcer is who does it. It's an NWA announcer who does it. Be there. That guy. At the end of it, he goes, be there. That's NWA guy. So NWA had that. This is all during the whole TBS fiasco with Black Sunday, I think it was called. Vince still has some NWA stuff happening. It's interesting. We've got a replay of Hillbilly and Hogan training. We talked about that from TNT. It's their first training segment. I still haven't seen anything. I haven't missed anything. We've got Hogan training Hillbilly Jim. If I said Mr. T, I meant Hillbilly Jim. Mean Gene is doing some Boston Garden hype. He says Morocco's returning. Dr. D. David Schultz is on the card, so he's obviously still there in January because this airs January 5th, 1985. The Boston Garden show happens. It's not tape delayed. It happens. He's still there in January 1985. Then we've got Sheik and Volkov versus Steve Lombardi and Mario Mancini. I wrote down here, why is this tag team so special? Tito Santana, one side category, Sheik and Volkov. Whenever I see Sheik and Volkov, I'm almost saying that Sheik and Volkov are my favorite tag team of all time. They're not, but they almost have to be because they are just such a memory producer. Nothing says 8-year-old me watching, 85, 7-year-old me. No, sorry, 9-year-old me. 9-year-old me, 8-year-old me, whatever, watching WWF TV. Nothing takes me back to that little kid more than Sheik and Volkov. I don't know why. They're just ingrained in my head. Again, no offense for the job guys, and what an opportunity to again pop the crowd who hates these foreigners, right? Let's let Mario Mancini throw a few drop kicks at Iron Sheik, right? Let's get a 2 count on the Iron Sheik. Let's let the crowd go insane, and then 30 seconds later, the bad guys kill them. They don't do that. Lombardi and Mancini get in 0 offense. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because the crowds back then were dumb, and not dumb, but they were excited, and they for a minute thought maybe they were going to see an upset here when the job guys got some offense. But they're not doing it in these 2 matches. They're not letting the enhancement get anything in on the superstars. Nikolai does that press slam where he balances the guy Nikolai balances the guy on his own head. You've seen this. He gets him up. It's the backbreaker. It's kind of a press slam. He's got him extremely tight by the throat. He's given him a wedgie, and then he kind of lifts him up and he sets him on his own head before driving him down into the knee for the backbreaker. Paul Roma and Salvatore Bellomo take on Madonna. Whoa. Adonis and Murdoch. And this has got to be it for Adonis and Murdoch. Wyndham and Rotundo have got to be grabbing these belts soon because they lose them in March to Sheik and Volkov at WrestleMania. So, when do we see the title change here? Is it on TV? Is it at a house show? Don't tell me. I don't remember, and I can't wait to be surprised by it. That was a fine match. Adrian Adonis has a shorter haircut now. I don't remember what happens to Adonis and Murdoch after they lose the titles. And I almost feel like the title change and the haircut were connected. I don't know why. I think that's silly, but for some reason Adonis has a slightly new look. I feel like the title change has got to be coming in a week or 2. We have a Piper's Pit with John Studd, Ken Patera, and Bobby Heenan. Now we've got some early promotion of WrestleMania, except we don't know it yet because they're really working the We Cut Andre's Hair deal. And now Big John Studd is carrying around a bag of the hair. And I actually believe it's the hair. I really do. I believe it's the hair. And at one point, Studd offers some of the hair to Piper, and Piper reaches in and pulls out some hair. And Piper, I don't like Piper, but Piper's so funny here because he's pulling, and it stinks. And he's like, he says something about fleas. Like, I think, there's fleas on mine. It's just funny. It was funny. It was funny. But the bag of hair is so gross, and I'll tell you, it's pube-like. It appears to be pube-like. Andre's hair in this bag appears to be pubish. Yes, pubish in design. Mm-hmm. All right. Imagine, so now we've got, let's think about this. It's 1985. We've got a bag of Andre the Giant's hair being carted around from show to show. Now, at some point, at the conclusion of this angle, the bag of hair gets tossed out in the garbage. Imagine if we were the kind of people we are today. Imagine if we were them back then. That bag of hair would immediately be on eBay, selling for thousands of dollars. A bag of Andre the Giant's hair, ring-worn hair, gimmick used hair, would put a child through college today. That bag of hair that was, Anyway, we've got Jim Young. A decent-looking enhancement worker, taking on Dr. D. David Schultz. And again, I've said it before, Dr. D. David Schultz's matches always scare me and confuse me because every one of his matches against job guys looks like it's breaking down, and it looks like Dr. D is legitimately mad at somebody. I don't know if he's just great at what he does and I'm the biggest mark in the world, or if Dr. D is just really not an easy guy to work with. I don't know. But every one of his matches looks like it's a mess. And then we conclude with Gino Carabello and Dave Barby, my all-time least favorite enhancement worker. Dave Barby takes on the Briscoes. And all I wrote in my little notes here in my phone was ugh. Ugh, right? I tried to spell ugh because I hate the Briscoes. I hate Dave Barby and Gino Carabello, who is still being announced as Garabello or Garibaldo. They still can't get his name right. He's fine, but Dave Barby and the Briscoes. So imagine like the Briscoes look like they're in their 50s, okay, at this point. And they have no bodies, no physiques. And imagine them trying to like chain wrestle big, goofy Dave Barby. It's terrible. Briscoes, I'm so done with the Briscoes. I don't like them. I never liked them. But that concludes the show. That's it. We've got January 5th, 1985 in the books. I don't know what's coming next. I'll go into my box of organized show and pull out the next few episodes. Maybe we've got a house show thrown in, probably another TNT, and that's it. That's Wrestling with the Past. All right, Build to WrestleMania is on us. We will see you all next time. Good night now.